Welcome to the Best Kept Secrets podcast, where we share our best kept secrets about life, love, God, and everything in between. Hi guys, welcome to season 3, episode 8 of the Best Kept Secrets podcast, where we share our best kept secrets on God, love, life, and everything in between. Today we have a very special episode that I'm personally very excited to have this conversation because this is something that's really dear and close to my heart. And today we're talking about raising daughters. So I have a mom-daughter duo that I personally really, really love. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. They also have a podcast that you should definitely check out, but they'll tell us more about that. So Kate, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, my name is Kate Kendi. I am a full-time content creator on Instagram and YouTube, and a new podcaster with my mom. We have a podcast called Perspective MDC. And yeah, I'm a lover of life, a girl's girl, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
Judy?
Hi guys, my name is Judy Ngoju. I'm a mom of 2 children. I know most people know me because of Kate, but I also have a son who's 13. And I'm a real estate agent, actually full time. This is just something on the side. And of course, I want to support my daughter all the time. And when she thought of starting this podcast, our podcast, I was excited because many people love us together and they love our conversations. And what can I say? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us. And yeah, let's have this conversation.
Yay, great.
Yes.
So Kate and I will be speaking as daughters because we've never raised any daughters, but Judy will speak as a mom and her experience on raising daughters. So tell us about Kate. I know she's here, but tell us about, your pregnancy, your birth, your experience raising a daughter versus raising a son. How has that been?
I don't know. I always feel like I repeat this a lot of times because this comes up a lot. I got Kate at a very young age, at 18 years old.
Okay.
And it was a surprise to me. It's like a daughter is here. She's a surprise. I don't know what to do with her. So it's been a lot of learning. We've grown up together. So probably my experience is very different from any other experience because for us, I was a child. It's like a child raising a child and growing up together. So I've come to learn a lot, and I've also spoken to several parents whose experiences are a bit different. So whatever I'm going to give is my experience. And it's been a journey. We are still growing. We love each other so much. And it's what I can say is that it's becoming better every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I got her, I had to do some studying also. And she was maybe with my mom or some friends. It's a long story. I don't even know where to start. And And by the time she was 18, when she was turning 18, because I knew she was going now to high school and we had just started getting very close. And then I felt like a bit of emptiness, like she's leaving, she has her own life.
Yeah.
What can I do? That's when I decided, you know what, I think I need a son. Since marriage looks like it's not going to work for me, I need someone else. And I pray to God that I get a son, and I got a son. So the experience for Ryan has also been very different because for him, it's planned.
Yeah. And it
Unlike
came
Kate.
later.
And later. So I was mentally ready. I was financially ready. You're never 100% financially ready because you always want more. But I knew I was capable of bringing him up by myself because maybe I had a bit of education more than when I had Kate. I had a bit of money. I had a career. And it's quite different. It's quite different. Yeah.
That's interesting because my mom was pregnant with me at 19. She gave birth at 20. So we have a 20-year age gap. So she also feels very close to me. It also feels like we grew up together.
Yes.
I have seen her evolve over the years into who she is now. She's still not even 50 yet. So I think when I look at you guys, I also see me and my mom. So I know the struggles also that comes with being close in age or closer in age with your mom or with your parent. So let's talk about that. So what are the things that has come up by you guys being closer in age compared to most parent-child dynamics?
It's very entertaining, actually, if I may use the word, because we are sometimes in the limelight. We are on social media, and people will see us together in person. They'll see me on her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They'll see the way I behave, because when I'm with Kate, actually, I keep telling people when I'm with Kate, she's the adult. At the moment, she's
Yeah.
adulting, and I'm usually the child. It's like I'm reliving my 19, 20-year-old. And you'll hear some comments, people saying, "Oh, is this mom and daughter? Are you sisters?" Some comments will be very nice, like, "Oh, guys, you look like sisters," and all that. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be Kate's sister. I'm the mom.
Yeah.
But when someone says it from a good point, like, I love the way you relate, and they still respect when someone digs deeper and sees that I'm still the parent, that is very well appreciated. But when someone says, "Oh, how does Mama Kate dress like the way Kate is supposed to dress?" I know sometimes I can dress the way I want and the way I feel comfortable.
As you should.
Yes, and some people will throw comments, but I don't let it get to me. I still live my life here. So you'll see that difference, because we will do so much together. Kate will be going out. She'll be invited for a like a brunch, and she'll take me as her plus one. There's alcohol, there's music, so I'll be myself. I will dance. Probably she'll be sitting, and people will be like, "How can you bring your mom to the pub? How are you in the same
party.
space in the party with your mom? Why are you doing this?" So people will like to compare. Like, you should not be doing this as a parent. Like, you're not giving a good example. They forget that Kate is a grown up already, and she's way grown than when I got her, and she's her own person at the end of the day. And I'm also trying to find myself. Yeah.
Kate?
So if you compare, like, my mom and me, even my mom is close, but if you compare, maybe this, I would not do the same things I'm doing with Ryan, because Ryan, there's a big difference. It's over 30 years. So there's I would not go out with Ryan and start dancing. Maybe not as much as I feel free with Kate, because then again, a boy child is very different.
Yeah. Kate, what has your experience been?
My experience has been quite interesting, to say the least.
What does that mean?
I think with the way we portray ourselves, of course, on social media, everyone thinks it's always been perfect. It's, it's always been an ideal relationship, but unfortunately, it's not been like that, especially since of the small age gap. So sometimes we'd fight. We'd fight with my mom. Like, she'd say something, but I feel like I can say it as well, She'll be like, "Oh, you can't do like this and this." I'm like, "But mom, why? What do you mean? I can do this and this." Like, we were always butting heads at some time, especially when I was in high school, because
teenager.
I really wanted to. I was discovering myself, and I really wanted to be heard. And my mom is also like, "No, remember, I'm your mom. I'm not your," because we still most people say we're sisters, or I'm not your friend, I'm your mother. But for me, I'm like, we are so close in age as well. I can speak the way I want. So I think when I was initially a teenager, it was hard for me to set like the boundary, to still remember that this is my mom, this is not my friend. So of course we'd butt heads a lot. So now that I'm much older is when we've been trying to improve our relationship in public.
But you still fight behind the scenes.
We still fight, even before we came here. Right?
I was not picking her call.
Yeah,
she was
not
right
picking my
behind me.
calls.
And she's like, "Why are you not picking my calls?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, I just got in. I wanted to park and then go, and then you find me there." I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to follow me like, "Mom, I told you we have to be there at 1. You need to be there and seated." And I'm thinking, excuse me. I know what I need to do. So you don't have to keep repeating it. I know you respect this person so much. You don't want me to portray a bad picture, but I still have a job to do, and I've told you I'm gonna do it at this hour, so I'm gonna do it. But first she's like, "Mom, where are you?" I told you most of the time you'll find she's the adult. So sometimes she'll try to put me in check. Then sometimes I'll remind her, "Yeah, you'll want to put me in check, but I'm still your mom." Yeah.
Actually, my mom and I also get a lot of comments for, "Oh, she's your sister." And men have actually hit on her when I'm with her, and I'm like,
"Excuse me,
that's so disgusting. That's my mother. Have you no respect?" And they don't know, because in their minds, "Oh, she just looks like a young babe." And I'm like, she's a mother to a whole 20-something-year-old. Calm down.
They think you're friends.
They think we're friends. So I just wanted to touch on, you guys have said the word friend a lot. So how do we establish a friendship with our parents? Because I think a lot of, especially if you have an African mom or an African dad, it's very hard for you to feel like friends with them. So how do we establish a friendship? What do we do?
I think we even tackled this in one of our podcast episodes. And the most important thing we realized first is to set the boundaries. There still has to be that boundary. Because if you're friends, there's so many things we can talk about. There's so many things we can do. But then at the end of the day, this is still your mom. She still has that authoritative figure to be around. So you have to have boundaries. And also it's important to kind of forget the past because
Ooh,
mothers
that's a deep one.
or deal with it.
or deal with it because unfortunately I think most of them have been talking about this on TikTok, the mother-daughter relationship that most African women have with their parents. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There is no connection. People literally, when they leave home, they leave completely.
Yeah.
They don't have any communication with their mothers, especially. So I think forgetting the past and realizing why your parent was acting that particular way, why your mom was acting in such a way, that has really helped me, to be honest. Because when I was young, I was like, my mom didn't love me. She didn't want to be around me. But when I grew older, I was like, oh, she was not around because she needed to work. No one was there to help her. Yeah. So I needed to put myself in her shoes and reconcile the past so that now I can see her not only as a mom, but as an individual, like what she had to go through. So if you put the past, if you tackle the past, it will be easier to start that friendship. Yeah.
I love that so much because there's a quote I read that says, this is also your mom's first time living.
Yes.
Yeah, it's also her first time experiencing life, and she's going to make mistakes. She's going to experience things that she wasn't necessarily prepared for. So I also had to do a lot of forgiving with my mom. Not that she offered me an apology, but just because when I became an adult, I realized, I do have some mom wounds, and if I'm going to have a friendship with my mom, I need to see her as a human being outside of her mom role, and just see that, okay, there are things she went through that made her act the way she acted or parent me the way she parented me. And this is just her first time living life, and I shouldn't hold those things against her. So when I was able to release those things, and also just work through some things in therapy, then now our friendship even became deeper because I wasn't looking at her with resentment anymore, because I think a lot of us feel resentment with our parents because of the things they did or said to us when we were younger. So we know this POV. What's your POV?
I think I keep saying my relationship with my mom is very different from my relationship with Kate. We can go for months without speaking with my mom. Kate, we speak every day. Like, I can't remember the last time we did not speak, whether she's out of the country, whether I'm traveling. Every day there has to be either a FaceTime, a WhatsApp video call. She loves video calls. And but we have also made it very intentional, the two of us. We've reached out to each other because it has to work both ways. And one party has to be willing to go an extra mile. I remember trying to do that because I wanted a different relationship than what I have with my mom, with her, and with also my son. So I tried to get to know my child as an individual because they're very different. When you see them together, they're lovely and all that, but they're very different. Even the way they carry themselves, the way they talk, their demeanor and all that is very, very different. And I had to put myself out there and get to know who is Kate. What does she like? What is going through her mind? How does she take me as a parent? Is she resentful of what I went through? Does she understand? And when she put it out there, she decided, like, you know what, I need to learn more about my mom. That was very appreciative. So what I can say is, for both mom and child, whether it's a boy or a girl, both of them have to be in sync for it to at least try and work. Nothing is perfect, but every day is work in progress. But once you try to understand the other person, like on the flip side, then you're able to create a better relationship.
Yeah, there has to be like a mutual, we're both trying to work on this relationship and we both want to put in the effort.
Yes.
And then
but mostly it has to come from the parent. That is what I believe, because you have to show the initiative. You have to open up to your child and show them you have a safe space. As much as I'm your mom, I can be your friend. You can always come to me. Once you give them that, then they're able to reciprocate.
Yeah.
But if you're so tough, even if your child tries, like me, I remember trying so much to be friends with my mom. I tried so much, even to some point, Kate could see it and she's like, Mom, I think you're overdoing. You understand? So I was like, I'm trying, but if she was open, probably it would have been easier.
Yeah.
But I remember as a grown up, when I became a grown up and a parent, that is when I also tried to reach out. Before I did not care. I just had this picture of my mom as this person and this person. So I was trying to understand her. I tried to reach out and understand what could have happened. This happened. What was the source? But if she's closed up, I can't access. So I don't know. So I'm always left wondering, what's going on? When are we ever going to talk about this? I need to understand. I'm not judging. So for Kate, it was easier because she's more enlightened. She's more exposed, which is good. And so it's
both,
I don't know what to say.
Both parties.
It's both parties. Yeah. It goes both ways. Yeah. But the parent has to put more effort. That's for sure. That's your job as a parent, as a mom, as a dad, to try and understand your child and open up to them and show them that you are actually in a safe space. And don't only say, show it in action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you said that Kate got to know you as a person.
She's still learning.
Yeah, and she asks you questions and things, because I think there's an inquisitiveness that is required if you're going to build a relationship with anyone. Yeah, so even me with my mom, I would just like sit down with her and we'd have conversations, and I'd ask her about her childhood. I'd ask her about like her marriage. I'd ask her about like what was her experience when she was pregnant with me. That's how I got to know her. That's how I got to know what are the things that are important to her. What is her past? What does that look like? What are the things that have shaped who she is as a person today? So I think if you're in that relationship building space, just hang out with them and get to know them as a person, and then the friendship will slowly come from
develop
there.
And outside of the home setting. But also, as I said, you see, your mom was also receptive.
Open, yes, she was open.
If she wasn't, then you'd still be having a hard time wondering and questioning. Yes, you would forgive, but it's better when you have that clarity so that you're forgiving from a point of knowledge, even if it's just for yourself. Yeah.
So let's talk mamoons. Mamoons are like daddy issues, but now the opposite, right? So mamoons. So what do you think mamoons are, and how do we navigate mamoons?
Mamoons. I feel like mamoons as such are something that most daughters can relate to one way or another. I think it's the expectation of, your mom is supposed to be your everything. Your mom is supposed to love you and take care of you. And yes, they can be providing, but they can be the most hurtful people. Even when we're in the internet these days, I'm usually like, oh, you guys, you can tell me bad things, but I've had bad things before from my mom. You think you can hurt me?
Yeah.
There's nothing you can say. I've had everything. And we're discussing this with my mom, and she was like, sometimes as a mom, there are things that they say without thinking, or things that even them they're used to being told. So they're like, if I survived that, even you can survive that. We have mothers who are always body shaming their children, mostly their daughters, and then they wonder why when their daughters have grown they're not confident. They're very insecure, and even wonder why they are going for certain type of men as well. Your mom told you you're not good enough, you don't look nice, your body's like this, so you actually go looking for that from a man.
Exactly.
I know we usually say that is the issue, but it can also come from the mom. So the body shaming, the rejection. Sometimes you do want to be close to your mom. They're like, why do you want to be close to me? I'm your mom.
I'm just your mom.
I'm just your mom. There's nothing else to it. Or even the way the society makes it. There's some societal things that are expected from women. And of course, our mothers have been raised like that. And they expect us to be the same way. We are definitely not going to be the same, especially with this new generation, the way we exposed. Certain things that they were doing, we cannot do. Or we refuse to do it. Like, why should I? Why do I need to stop my whole life to come and take care of I don't know who and who, or all the housekeeping chores that, we can hire people these days who can do such things. You can't expect me to always be there I'm the one who cooks, I'm the one who cleans, I'm the one who does everything. Like, I have more to do as a woman. But of course, for them, that's what they were. You must do this and this. This is how you become a great woman. This is how you become a woman. But now we are more enlightened, and we're trying to show that, and that can cause so much friction. You start. That's where, for me, the wounds come from.
Yeah. Girl, I feel you so deeply. I feel you so deeply because I think I had both mom wounds and dad issues, but I think my mom wounds hurt me a bit deeper because, like you were saying, we are generally closer to our moms. I know people say it's boys with their moms and moms with their dads, but for me, I've always been like close to my mom. So when she hurt me, I was like, but you're my mom. Why would you hurt me? Why would you say hurtful things to me? And actually, we had an episode we're talking about things they don't tell you about weddings. And Tracy was saying how her mom body shamed her in her gown and told her she needs to lose her stomach. How you're gonna get married in that dress and your stomach is showing. And even the other bride said the same thing. Like her mom would always talk about her weight. So it's just, and maybe you can shed some more light on this. But I was definitely body shamed by my own mother growing up. I was definitely told, if I never performed well in school, I was told hurtful things. I was told I'm stupid. I was called ngombe. Like I was, like at some point, it's funny now because I've healed from it. I've healed from it. But at that time, my mom called me ngombe a lot to the point where my dad was like, stop calling her that. Mbono unamwita ngombe but sieni ngombe.
Oh, wow.
Mothers can be so ruthless.
They can be so ruthless. And that's what you're saying. Like, even when other people attack you, it doesn't even hit you as hard. Because I'm like, since I was born, I've been told things. So whatever you're telling me, I don't really care. So I don't know. Where does all of this come from? Can you please share?
Before I say that, sorry, but I think maybe it also made you a bit tough. I know it's really a bad way to look at it.
Wow, mom.
But it's not that bad. Because you're like, someone calls you Angombe, now you're like, oh, you have something else to say. But before that, you'd be crying and you're like, no. Okay, it's not a nice thing. But I've realized when I was younger, I said many things, hurtful things, but it's because I was hurting. I was frustrated. You're thinking, I have this baby, I'm all by myself. She's not doing the right thing that she's supposed to do. And I'm doing my part. I'm working so hard. So instead of, sometimes I will forget that this is a child. And I'm the one who is responsible for this child. I brought this child into the world. It was a personal decision. This child was not questioned anywhere. Do you want to be this one's child? So many times as parents, we forget that any little thing that we say to our children are like sponges. Even their brains are like sponges. So anything you say, they just suck in and it stays with them. And as a parent, because it's you they've known first, it's you they'll know for the longest of their lives. So anything, you're like a small god to them. So anything you say, they take it to heart. So that is what we forget as parents. Even you guys, let me tell you, you guys are better off than, like, if you talk to your mom about her parents and the generation she was brought up in, we were not told ngombe. Ngombe is a nice word. You'd be called anything. And so even when someone says anything, as you're saying right now, I'm just like, oh, okay. So sometimes we find ourselves projecting that to our children, our insecurities, our bodies, because we are not sure even at a certain age. Like now, I'm 46 years old, and people will tell me, "Oh, you look nice," but sometimes sometimes you look at yourself in the bikini and you're like, "I took a picture. Should I post what people are thinking?" It's just that for me now, I've grown confident. I don't care what anyone thinks. But so many of us will always have that insecurity. So you project it to your children. You actually project it to the closest people to you, whether it's your husband, your child, your friends. That's what happens. Yeah. And I don't know how I can emphasize on this, that as parents, we need to get things through our heads before we say them to our children. Like, let it sink for a moment before you say to this child, and think about how it's going to affect them and for how long. And think of yourself when you are younger, how you are affected, as much as you might not have noticed. Later on now, it's when we are noticing that we were actually traumatized. We still need a lot of therapy, actually. And we need to think before we speak, especially to our children. Because they look to us like We are everything.
Yeah.
You know, I completely agree, especially in the projecting thing, because I have had these conversations with my mom and I asked her, how did your parents used to speak to you guys?
Mhm.
Because I realized it's not just with her, it's her siblings as well. They're all similar in the way they speak to their children or the way they discipline their children, meaning that they're just parenting the way they've been shown how to parent.
Yes.
They're just repeating the same cycles. And the things she told me, I was like, okay, I get why you guys are so harsh, or you're so nini with your words, or you discipline in this kind of way, because that's how you are taught. But that doesn't mean that you repeat the same cycles, because that's all you're familiar with. That's why there's unlearning. That's why you learn new parenting styles, not just what you've been told is the way to parent. So yeah, I see that. I
Yeah.
definitely see that. So how do we make sure this doesn't happen with our kids? I mean, other than, I like what you were saying about the thinking before we speak, because I don't think some parents, when they're upset, they just say whatever is anything.
Yeah.
Other than the thinking before we speak, what other things can we do to make sure we don't traumatize our children as badly as we were traumatized?
You guys are very lucky because you're more enlightened than us.
Mhm.
There is social media. Like now, when we are speaking about this,
Yeah.
at our generation, there was no one. There are some things that were taboo we could not speak about. Even now, I know sometimes I speak about my mom and my dad, and I'll find someone maybe in the family asking me, "How can you say that? It's your mom."
They did everything
Today.
for you.
Today, someone will call me, even an auntie will be like, "You can't say such things." I'm like, "This is my truth, and I've decided from my truth, I'm going to help others if they can learn anything about it. I want to be open about it, and I don't want anyone else to go through this." But people will always say, "You cannot speak, you cannot say this because it's society." But you guys are more open, even with your age mates. We are more accepting parents, I think so. So I think it's just learning from that,
Yeah.
learning from what has been happening and trying to change the narrative. Yeah.
Do you think our generation is too soft? Because there've been conversations
You
about,
will
you
be
guys
too
will
soft.
just,
That's what I think. I
Yeah.
think you'll be too soft because also the idea is to get the balance between parenting and being best friends. You have to get that balance. Yeah. And that is, I don't know who has figured it out yet. I'll be lying to say that I have, because
Yeah.
even in our generation, the ones who are not treated like us, right now you look at them and they're a bit different, to be honest. As it's because we are tougher, maybe we're out there in the world and we can do almost anything. So you'll find they are still a bit, people still look at their upbringing like with their side eye. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, getting that balance, I don't know.
I think just to add on how we can be better parents, I think it can start with ourselves looking inside and seeing what went wrong, because we know what they did to hurt us.
Yeah.
So unlearning, we're basically trying to unlearn what we have seen and what we have learned. So for me, what I've been doing is actually therapy. I went to therapy because I was like, maybe I might want to have a child in the future, and I do not want to go with this baggage that I have, because I do know I have baggage. I do know I needed to manage our issues about my childhood. So I think us making ourselves better and looking at all our issues, and maybe even like therapy has actually really helped me.
Yeah.
And I feel like because I am doing that, I'll be a better mom.
Parent.
Yeah.
What of those who can't afford therapy? And
Yeah.
those who are not open to such.
That's why, like, I was just adding to your point, like you said, we have access to so many things.
Yes.
So many.
Information.
So much. So many
Information is out there.
podcasts.
Yeah.
Google literally is your friend.
Yeah.
So we have so much information that is there to help. There's so many books. So it's just for you to, enlighten yourself, know what you can take, what you can implement, and what you can't. Yeah. And plus, like we had even said in our therapy podcast, mom, there are cheaper options for therapy. I feel like everyone thinks therapy is something so expensive.
Yeah.
Not all of us are paying 10K, some of us are paying 2K. Some of us are going for free therapy that has been offered by some governmental institutions, so it's just you researching and finding what you can afford.
Yeah, I completely agree. So earlier you spoke about men and the way we go. We want certain men because of the way we've been raised. So I know that boys are taught how to treat women growing up. Some of them are taught. Not every man is taught how to treat a woman, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So, do we teach our daughters the kind of men they should be attracted to, or how to date? What do we say about that?
I think that's one of the things I wish we had discussed with my mom, especially when I was younger, about men, and even about sex, what to expect, and just how to navigate relationships. Because I was accepting anything. I was just like, oh, you love me? That's all I need. Just show me you love me, you know? But there's so much.
Bare minimum.
I will accept
below bare minimum. Yeah.
Below bare minimum. So I think mothers should have these conversations with their children. I mean, especially with their teenagers. You start learning at that time because we accept anything. Most of us, we accept just because you've shown you love me. And that's what I was looking for. I'm gonna accept that.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, that's all I need. I don't need anything else. And I think mothers, they really need to be open about that topic and also try to make their daughters love themselves. If you tell your daughter, you know, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you know, you can do anything.
Yeah. When a man comes and tells her you're beautiful, it's
I'm like,
nothing.
I know. I was
told.
Exactly.
I was affirmed. My mother told me.
My mom told me all these things and affirmed me literally. So I'm just like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
That's not enough. But if your mom has always been, you know, body shaming you and telling you the worst things, when a man just comes say, oh my God, I love you and you're so beautiful,
you're like wow.
My heart.
Yeah.
This is what I need. So I think mothers really need to validate their daughters and affirm them at a very young age so that they don't go accepting anything, you know?
Yeah. You know, the most shocking moment for me in therapy was my therapist told me that my relationship with my ex was a reenactment of my relationship with my mother.
Wow.
I was like, wow, you came to drag me today. I'm paying you
but
to
you're
drag
dragging
me. I'm paying you to abuse me and tell me things great. And literally, she was just like, you know, my mom and I had a hot and cold relationship growing up, where times I felt really loved and times I felt like she was so distant and she didn't want me. And, you know, she also had to leave me at some point because she had to get her life together. Basically, she got me when she was really young. So, you know, that hot and cold is what I would look for in romantic relationships with men. So I would look for men who are really nice to me sometimes, and then other times it's like they don't even want to be with me. And, you know, it was a very toxic relationship. And, you know, I'm venting to my therapist and all of this. And she's asking me, so why do you think you're attracted to the hot and coldness? Because you are allowing it.
Yeah.
The point where it was like 4 years in, you're allowing it. But then I was going in there with a victim. No, he's doing it to me, blah, blah. She's like, unconsciously, there is a part of you that thinks this is how love is, right? Because our first interaction with love is usually with our parents, especially with our moms. Yeah. So now we went back into my childhood. She was like, yeah, this is where it's coming from. You're just reenacting what is familiar. And familiar is the being body shamed. It's the being told this and that. It's the one day he's really in love and then the next day he's like, leave me alone, you're so annoying. And that shook me to my core because I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. And then, you know, when I kept introspecting, I was like, actually, a lot of my relationships have been the same way. A lot of my romantic relationships have been the same way. Funny enough, my mom and I are open about dating. So she's known every single boyfriend I've had, even a fling, even a date. She knows, like, I'll come and tell her, oh yeah, I went on the date with this guy. This is how it was. She knows she's always been very involved and she's always put her input when she feels like, hey, I don't know how I feel about this guy or no, you can get better, you can deserve better and all of these things. But because I had so many subconscious, unconscious things that I wasn't aware of, so even the input she'd give me, I didn't really take it to heart. Because she didn't even like the guy. She knew the guy and she was like, nope, I think he's horrible. In fact, I don't think you should be with him. And me, I still went ahead and continued to be with him. So how do we change the way we teach our daughters about men and dating and
Yes, ma'am.
You see, the way Kate is looking at me because she knows I'm the worst in that department. I'm the worst. Unfortunately, this one, guys, I just agree. I'm the worst person to give advice on dating and relationships. I was brought up by a stepdad, and it was not nice.
Okay.
So even who I've dated, like when I got pregnant with Kate, it was unexpected. Like my first boyfriend, first time, everything was first time. So it was not even a relationship. So in my life, I've learned that, or what I've known or thought is men are not there to stay. So I've tended up, I've tended up being doing, I end up tending up to be like someone who'll accept whatever. So as I'm saying, Kate is doing better in that department than I am. So I'm the wrong person to ask. But funny enough, I'm also learning a lot. I've learned from Kate, and I'm also enlightening myself about what I need to deal with, and I'm dealing with it. So even now, when I start dating and I see some, they call them red flags. And I see them, I'm just like, this is not for me. I think I can get better than this. So I'd rather stay alone than deal with that. But I'm thinking it's very important. If I was taught this, if I got some engagement like from my mom, like this is what real love
looks like.
But I also think my mom didn't have that either.
Yeah. So
because they ended up bringing up.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. So it's, for me, it's just like, I was just put out there like, yeah, whatever, man. Just do what you need to do. So for me, I'm still learning and growing a lot from my experiences and other people's experiences. Yeah.
I think just to add on that, I think the absence of love within, for me, like what my mama said, she was not around love. And even me, I was not around that. I didn't get to see that. So I don't have any expectations really. I'll just accept anything. I'm like, at
there's
least
no standard.
There's no standard. There's no standard.
At least there's someone who
at
likes
least
you.
there's somebody who's there. So I think even when people are thinking of getting children, you should really think of that as well. Like, you need to show your child what love is. I know, in movies we see, they don't want to fight in front of their kids. Yeah. Like, it's not just that's how it should be. They should see, you guys love each other. Maybe the dad makes breakfast for the mom. Not always the mom is doing all the chores.
Yeah.
Like, just showing such love, I think is very important, especially for the daughter. What you want eventually. He'll be like, I want somebody who loves me. Maybe he'll help me with chores. Maybe he'll cook for me. I'll accept that. Yeah.
I completely agree, because I think now when we do end up getting married, we expect that our expectations come from what we have seen growing up, or what we have lacked growing up. So for me, my parents are still together and they're still very much in love. So even when people say that marriages don't work and everyone is getting divorced, I don't have that same belief, because I've seen them 20 plus years still making it work. I have seen them fight. I've seen my dad sleep on the couch. I have seen, and I was young, so I didn't really understand. But now looking back, I'm like, okay, that's why you are sleeping on the couch. I get it.
Yeah.
But I have basically seen, that love can work, and that you can make a marriage work, and that you can have fights and disagreements and you can figure it out. I wouldn't per se say that they're affectionate or anything like that, but I know that they love each other. I can tell that they have a good friendship. They have a good, the way they work is they found a way that works for them. I think for me, the only thing I would change in my own marriage, God willing, when I get there, is that I would want to be more affectionate in front of my children.
Yeah.
Because now I realize that with Africans, we're not really like affectionate like that, because it's like, even when you see people holding hands in town, you're like, wow, meshikana. Yeah, like it's weird, right? And I want us to, show our kids that, imagine holding hands and kissing and hugging is things. Don't shake hands.
They don't even shake hands.
The weird like hug. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
umefika.
Baba Nani.
Baba, Mama.
And then it's always Baba Nani, Mama Nani. There's no babe, there's no fondness, it's just, we're just here raising children, but like there's nothing more. Why are you laughing?
It's true.
There's no babes.
Just,
exactly. Even introducing.
Uni mama.
Uni mama watoto.
Mama watoto.
Ndio baba watoto.
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's no. In fact, I love seeing older couples just be lovey-dovey. Like, I
Yeah.
love it when we go to an event and someone introduces their wife or husband in a loving way, not in a, this is someone so-and-so's mother, this is so-and-so's father. This is my wife.
Yeah.
This is the love of my life. This is the, that shows us young people that, okay, we'll get that age and we'll still love our partners and we'll still be making our marriage work.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing I would want to change. So what are some narratives about raising daughters that you really don't like, that society has set?
A daughter has, at the end of the day, to be below a man,
Okay.
especially in
Expound.
relationships. It's always there. As much as people will not say it and say, oh, girl power, they're equal, people will still look at a girl like, I've noticed they have like maybe two friends, and when they're around Kate and her partner, they see how he acts around Kate, and they want to think, why is that happening? Because he has so much love for Kate, protection for Kate and all that, and they're thinking, is this real? It's not real, because I also think they've been brought up different. They're about my age, so they've never seen anything like that he will wake up, he'll cook for her, he'll ask her, are you all right? When she's like, she used to have her period cramps and all that, he'll take care. He'll be like, even if she's in my house, he'll come take care of her, and guys are like, this is too much, this is fake, this is not gonna last for long. So it's because in their minds they expect that whether the woman is sick or not, she should be taking care of the man. Even up to date, people still think that. They don't understand that it's half, or not even half. It's you lift where you need to lift yourself, and raise to the occasion where you need to in a relationship. So that is one of the major things that still I don't understand why people are not agreeing that it should be played out differently. A woman is never below a man. It's actually, even in the Bible, it says they're support. They're not below. It's a support. Exactly, That is one of the major things that I think. And then they say that girls, they end up, they are more loving to their dads and all that. What if the dad is not there? And I've seen some, their dads are there and they don't even speak to their dads. So I think each child is different. I'm learning how my son is and how my daughter is different, so I can't bring them in the same way. So one child is more needy in this department than the other one. So once you know their weaknesses and their what they like, then you can move from there.
Mom, I think you've misinterpreted that question.
I have. Yes.
She was asking narratives.
That
mothers and daughters
I don't know. You can say something?
I think just to kind of clarify on what she was trying to say, I think
wow. See, the adults coming up.
One of the narratives that I think needs to stop is mothers and daughters will never get along. I think that's one thing you've come to find it. Yes, it's there, but I don't think it should really be pushed. I think there are healthy mother-daughter relationships that are there, and I don't think mothers should be having their daughters thinking, huyu atakuwa shida, or this one we're gonna butt heads. It's not necessarily going to be like that. So I think that's a narrative that should not really be pushed. I think it's mostly because mothers and daughters are very similar, actually, in a way. And we are brought up with the same societal expectations. And I think that's where now the issues come up. Because your daughter, of course, will not want to conform. And do you want to conform? Because that's what you've always learned. So, of course, you're going to butt heads about that. But I think all that comes down to communication and a parent realizing like the times that they're in and all that. So we can all be able to get past that. We don't necessarily have to hate our mothers or daughters to have issues with their mothers. It can be different.
I completely agree, because the narrative is that sons are more closer to the dad, to the mom, and then daughters with the dad. So we can have healthy relationships with our mothers. I also still get the narrative you were saying about daughters feeling or being put out that daughters are usually below men when they do end up getting married. So we kind of settle for less because we're like, but me, I'm just there. This is just my role. I shouldn't expect a man to do this and this and this with me, which I think are even conversations that we should have with our daughters and tell them this is how a man should treat you. If you get anything below this, that's the bare minimum, or that's even below bare minimum. If a man hits you, feel free to come back home. You don't have to stay in that marriage.
Yeah.
And my mom has, she's had all of these conversations with me, and she's always made it clear, even if you do end up getting married and you don't like that marriage that you're in, you can always come back.
Yeah.
And, my dad by default has also now just been like, okay, if that ever happens, come back. Come back. Those are things we need to be telling our daughters. And even apart from telling our daughters what they deserve and what they don't, what they shouldn't be settling for, it's even just, like you're saying, children are sponges. So when they see how the dad treats the mom, they're like, oh, okay, so kumbe, that's how marriage is set up, or kumbe, that's how men treat women, right? So even how you were saying Kate's partner helping her when she has cramps and all of those things,
she was in shock also.
Yeah, because that's what
first I was like
that's not what the narrative is. That's not the standard, right?
Yeah. That's not what we are.
What we're used to seeing, And funny enough is, my mom is such a baby girl, like with my dad. Like she can call him today and say, oh, I have a headache, I'm not feeling well, and my dad will come home or whatever, So even me, when I go into like a relationship or a marriage situation, now that I'm healed, not before
I'm healed.
Now that I'm healed, I'm like, me, the way my dad treats my mom, I'm not accepting anything below that. He has gone above and beyond to make her life comfortable, to come in, to do things for her, to treat her in a certain way. And I'm just like, if I grew up seeing that, then you and your dusty self, you want to come and treat me how that's not happening. Because I saw a TikTok that was saying how the dad was or the parents were just like, how they travel with their kids because they don't want their dusty son to come and take them to where. And they're like, wow. They're so excited. They're like, me, my parents have been doing these things for me. So there's now another level that you're not supposed to take. I'm not excited by small things. I'm used to a certain kind of treatment. So are there any other narratives?
I think the way in a setting where there's a daughter and a son, I think as much as mom is saying, of course we have different needs, there are some things that should be standard for both the son and the daughter. Your daughter cannot be the one who's always doing the house chores. Your son needs to learn. It's something he needs to know how to do. He needs to know how to cook. He needs to know how to wash his things. Not your daughter all the time. Yendo anaosha nyumba. Yendo anafanya sijui nini. Even your son needs to know these things. So even when I'm older, I don't feel like that is my responsibility. I was brought into this world to be, a housekeeper for somebody else's son. So I think the way we raise both in the same, like in the same family, the son also needs to know these things, not your daughter only. Yeah.
I completely agree. What has been your experience raising a daughter versus a son?
There's so much about kids, and there's not so much about Ryan, because Ryan is just a boy in school and minding his own business. He's not, maybe I use the word, but I don't know whether it's the right word. He's not clingy. He's his own person.
Okay.
He's
he
very
wants his
independent.
personal space. He's very independent. Anytime I'm in the house, especially lately, I tell him, I'm going somewhere and I'll be coming late around 9. He's like, yeah, you go. In fact, I'll probably won't sleep up to 5. My son is very independent, but I'm not saying that because he's a son. I think every child is very different.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm insisting that you should learn about your child so that you know how to guide them in the right path. But I'm still learning from Rand. I think 13 is still tender. We've started butting heads now that he thinks he's breaking his voice, and he's taller than me. And he knows more than I do because he's always in the internet space. So it's a bit different.
But I like how you make him do chores as well. He just doesn't sit around and wait for the house help to do everything. Mom's like, wash your dishes when you're done. We are not even washing clothes with your hands these days. There's a washing machine. Go load it yourself. Put up the clothes and fold them. Like she'll be like, or she'll come back to the house. She's like, oh, why have you not taken care of this? Why is the sitting room looking like this? It's up to you to make sure that the house is clean. Make sure around you it's clean. And I'm like, I really appreciate that. You want to grow up thinking that's a woman's job.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like my experience has been the opposite because, again, I also have a younger brother. We have a 8-year age difference. So he also came about when my mom was a bit older. And my mom really babied him. And I was like, where was that energy for me? He was an egg, to the point where I was just like, mom, if you continue like this, you're going to spoil him. He's not going to learn how to be independent. He's going to be coddled. He's going to be, he wouldn't be able to be an individual.
Yeah.
So you need to discipline him a bit, or you need to give him some chores and give him some responsibilities. And now later on is when now she started being a bit strict with him because she just used to let him do whatever. Yeah, I don't know if it's because now when he came, she was older and she was calm. So she had gone through her things and she had processed and she had healed. Now she was just, he has had a completely different mom.
Same.
He's had a completely different mom. I tell him stories, he's like...
The same mom?
Yeah. I think the most he's been like pinched at the most. That was such a big deal. He cried so much. I was like, small pinching
just
is what you want to cause hell for, he's, parents can really raise children differently.
Yeah. But I remember we also had an issue with that. The time I was even jealous. I was like, why is he getting such treatment? And me, it was like World War III. What? How?
Am I not like...
Didn't you love me? You love him more?
World War III.
Yes, World War III, mom. Yeah, I think I actually got jealous. I remember telling her, I'm like, hey, how come?
What's going on?
Yeah, but then I realized, of course, now she's able to do all these things. That's why I usually say, like, people can change. If you want to change, you can. Because, like, you can actually do this.
You can.
It is in you to be like
you
this.
have it in you.
Yeah, you have it in you. So I don't think everything is set in stone, especially parents. Because sometimes we say, our parents are so rigid. They are set like this. No, they can.
They can change.
They can change, yeah.
So you've both mentioned in passing how Kate has had to be the adult sometimes. I guess because you're, the closer in age thing and all of that. So what has your experience with that been? And do you think it's healthy? Sorry, I'm just dragging.
I think with the way she was talking about it is, we're talking about when you're trying to be friends with your child. When you're younger, you can't really open up to them as much.
Yeah.
So when I was older, that's when my mom really started opening up to me about things. So I think that the adulting part is also coming that way. She's like, okay, now you're an adult, you can know, I will let you know what I really went through because I know you can handle it at this time. And I'm like, wow, like, okay. I understand everything, Mom. I understand everything. And also, I think even in social settings, when I'm around my mom, she's more comfortable. Like she gets really comfortable. She's like, oh, my daughter is there. If anything goes wrong, she's like, I know she's there, so she's gonna have fun. Like she'll dance, she'll have that, she'll have that drink, and I'm there encouraging her because I'm like, she didn't have that time when like in her 20s to really enjoy herself. I'm like, she can do it now, and I'm there to make sure everything is okay. Go do it. Like, and also me, I'm not that. We're very different. I've just realized her, she's more outgoing. She likes to have fun. Me, I will be there, but then I'll be like
seated.
I'm just seated, so I let her. It's so beautiful to see her just letting go and being comfortable so around me to that point.
Yeah.
So when she says like I'm the adult, it's like she will decide to let go because she knows I will, take care of anything that is needed. Yeah.
Do you want to expound?
I think this came up actually recently with like two friends of mine mentioned that because they've I've brought him into that space where Kate is, and I'm comfortable with them. I'm comfortable with Kate, so you'll find like we had a recent trip to the coast, and I let go. I was like, you know what? I've met the people around me. Kate is there. I don't care what they think. And she's comfort. As long as Kate is not complaining, I don't care about what everybody else thinks. So you'll find I'm dancing, I'm cartwheeling in the sun, I'm taking pictures on the beach with my friend. And at some point, Kate would be like, Mom, what are you doing? What are you doing? Then we'd be like, oh my God, yeah, I need to
relax
a bit,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day probably she's working, maybe I don't need to behave around this because at the end of the day they're her bosses and all that, so I need to calm a bit down. Yeah, but it's not in a bad way. I really appreciate that because I get very comfortable when she's around. So I'm here because of her. Others probably you'd be like, excuse me, where do you want me to come?
Yeah.
But since she's there, I feel comfortable. So the way she's relating to you, I'm already comfortable because she knows me very well and she knows who I'm comfortable around with. And
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
No, I think I agree because imagine even our parents deserve to be taken care of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think we always look at our parents like they're the beginning and the end of everything, right? And even them, they're human beings, they're living beings. This is the first time they're also experiencing life, and they also deserve to be taken care of as well. And sometimes you're the only person that they feel comfortable enough to be able to share certain things with or to be able to do certain things with as well. But I think there is a healthy balance because I do know that some children do end up raising their parents, especially when they had them when they were young, which is, can be, it takes away from them experiencing childhood as children because they are a third parent or anything like that. So I think that one is like a fine balance. But I also agree that our parents also deserve to be taken care of.
So when you say that, I'm thinking is we need to give our parents a bit of grace also, and know that they're humans and they've never been the age they are at ever. So they also don't know. They're looking up to the older generation, and the older generation is different. So some are trying to unlearn, others are trying to adjust. So like me, I've never been here. I've never had a 28-year-old or a 13-year-old. I'm still learning, and I'm still trying my best. So I think we give our parents a bit of grace and know, like, they're also learning. They've never been in such a situation. So just a bit of it, like
you can
they're
just
also
set
humans.
boundaries with the adulting, with the way we are phrasing adulting. Because I do have a younger brother. Like, of course, like my mom's a single mom. She's still a working mom. And of course, Ryan is at home. Sometimes she might need me to do something. So it's not that she's brought Ryan to my house to stay with me forever and to take care of his responsibilities. Of course, sometimes she'll need me. Now, the boundaries would come like all the time. Oh, take your brother. Oh, your brother needs to be done this. You need to do this and this. Stop what you're doing. You need to take care of your brother and all that. I think now that's why you were able to set the boundaries for such things.
For sure. Because I do think that without a conversation on boundaries or you setting boundaries, it can get to a place where now you're actually parenting or taking on responsibilities that are supposed to be your parents, especially as a firstborn daughter. You know that sometimes they throw things on you and you have no option of saying yes or no. It's like you have to do it, right? So I think even with me and my parents, I had to set boundaries where I was like, I'm happy to help, but you also have to find out if my schedule aligns, if my pocket aligns, if, you can't just expect me to do everything because you're my parent and I have to say yes to you. I also have things I need to do. I also have money I need to spend on certain things. I can't
you have
always,
a life.
I have a life of my own to live, and now we're at a point where my mom is always just like, you have your own life. You have, a family that you'll want to raise, a marriage that you'll want to nurture and whatever. And I can't expect for you to always drop everything for me, which isn't always the case with firstborn daughters especially. So I think it's a boundary conversation that needs to be had.
I must say you guys are very lucky because you have parents who are listening and also very considerate, because I remember taking Ryan to her place and then he needed to come, so whatever I was doing had to be adjusted. And then I remember thinking, this is my child, both are my children. There's no child who should have full responsibility of the other one. Unlike us,
your siblings are yours.
They're yours. They're your children. If they are the older one, they're your responsibility. You have to, they've eaten, you've cooked for them, you've cleaned after them, you become basically a parent, and there is no say about it. And since we were brought up knowing that, we didn't, like, you'd not dare say that you're not doing this because forget World War III. I don't know. It will be something else. So at least you are lucky that we are willing to listen and to adjust and to understand that you're also your own people. And you're very different as human beings, and you need your space. You need your respect at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially the generation before you guys, now your parents, because I know a lot of firstborn sons that are taking care of the entire family up to date,
Black
and
tax.
their children as well. Up to date. They're the ones
black
who
tax
it's the black tax. Yeah. So we're lucky. Yeah, you're right. We are lucky that we can have black tax conversations with our parents and say and set boundaries, because I think the generation before is very entitled to your time and your money.
They're still entitled.
Yeah, and they're still entitled.
I'm still fighting that as a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes lately my mom I think she's wondering if I've gone bonkers, because she'll tell me something and I'm like, Mom, that's not happening. And of course she'll get angry.
Yes.
She's
She'll
like,
get
"You said
angry
no
and
to
not
me?"
probably speak to me like for a while. And I'm okay with it. Personally, I'm just like, it's okay. Then eventually she's just coming to adjust. You'll find next time she calls me, she's not angry, she's calm. And then she'll ask me and I say like, do you think we can do this? Not that I said you're going to do this.
Yeah. And there's no
as you're
but.
saying,
Yeah.
anyone can learn, even the parents can learn.
Yeah.
I think they need to learn also.
Yeah. I think I only have one more question left, and it's for both of you actually. So, was your mom always right?
No.
Now as an adult, was your mom always right?
No.
No?
No.
Uh-huh.
I think unfortunately, like, you see, my mom had me young. Of course, she put me around other family members to kind of, take care of me when she needed to get her life together. But these are the same family members who are probably not good to her. I don't know why she expected that they'd be good to me. They weren't. They weren't, Mama. They weren't. They weren't. So I think that was the only thing she wasn't right on. But I know also, it's expectations. You're like, this is my family. Why would they mistreat my daughter?
Yeah.
But of course, maybe they've had history of mistreating you as a mom. Of course, they're gonna pass it on to the child. I think that's the only thing that
she wasn't right about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was your mom always right?
No. Even up to now, she's still not right about so many things. Yeah. But I also try to look at it from her side, and I'm thinking, as a parent, I always want the best for my child.
Yeah.
Personally, I speak for myself. So I assume should have wanted the same for her child. Maybe it's just the way she put it out there or the expectations she has, because in our generation, you'll find parents telling you, oh, unafaa kuwa kama nani wa nani, amemjengea nyumba, amemfanyia. They don't understand that your background is very different from those ones. They're exposed to different things. So they need not to push things on the child like you need. They're looking like, this is what I should have been. So this is what I'm going to force my daughter to be. So you find they're wrong on many things, because it's not one answer cannot fit everything, because that person is doing this is not doing what was I saying?
It doesn't apply to everyone.
It doesn't apply to everybody.
Yeah.
So, but as I'm saying, she was wrong on so many things. That is my take.
Yeah.
But in her way, maybe she was right, because she was looking out for me and the best interest for me.
Yeah.
But then again, as the older parents were looking the best for us so that they can appreciate themselves later. I think that's what they were looking at. Like, you can take care of me after this. So you need to do this so that even when I'm older, you can take care of me. But for us, we are not, I don't think we're expecting so much from our children. We just want your children to prosper and be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you in terms of she was right about having the best interests for me.
Yes.
But I don't think her approach was always right.
Yeah.
I think her approach on some things could have been better, or could have been a little bit more thought out. But I do think that she was right about. She was right that it came from a good place, and her intentions were pure, and that she just wanted the best for me. She denied a lot of. I wasn't allowed to do sleepovers, and I wasn't allowed to go here or do this and whatever. And especially as a teenager, I was like, Mom, you just hate me. You don't want me to have a life. You don't want me to have fun. You don't want me to I had a lot of, teenage anger towards her. But then now looking back, I'm like, okay, she was just trying to protect me, and even sometimes when you hear some things that happen in sleepovers, you're like, okay, makes sense. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. And, I actually had a friend who was a really close friend of mine growing up, and she was my neighbor. And my mom was happy for us to play together and all of that. But then when it got to a certain age, when I started becoming a teenager, she wouldn't let me go to her house as much. And that's because she had two older brothers. Back then, I was just like, why don't you want me to hang out with my friend? Or why don't you want me to go play with my friend? But then now looking back, I'm just like, she was just probably trying to protect me from the other teenage boys who were probably looking at me in a certain way. But then me, I'm just there to play with my friend. Like now I get it. Like now I'm like, okay, everything that she did and said was to protect me or was to have my best interests at heart. Maybe her approach just wasn't the best. So I think that's it for this episode. Do you have any pressing thing that you would like to say?
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
This was quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. This has actually been so enlightening, and I love to see healthy mother-daughter relationships being put out there, so we can break these narratives that you can't have healthy relationships with your parents. It's possible, and these two are a living testament of the possibility of that happening. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. For those of us who are watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on our audio platforms, thank you for listening. You will see me or hear me in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.
That was nice.